How are we feeling, All Blacks fans? My heart is still palpitating. It looked like the Eden Park fortress was crumbling last night. England had the All Blacks under all kinds of pressure in the second half. A famous victory beckoned, but somehow the All Blacks found a way. And again, it was that man, Beauden Barrett, who made the most vital contribution to the game. We're going to need more than Beauden Barrett going forward when we take on South Africa in South Africa, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to break down the good, the bad, and the ugly from the second test match against England. Let's get to it, guys. Now, I don't want to say that England watched my YouTube video where I predicted how they could win at Eden Park, but it damn sure looked like they were using the tactic that I outlined, namely kicking more for territory. And they did that in the first half beautifully. They plugged the corners. Look at this stat here. England had 62% of the territory. They did a great job pinning the All Blacks down in their own half. And because the All Blacks were expecting territorial kicking, it came as quite a shock when Marcus Smith went for the jugular and did a crossfield attacking kick to set up a try. It was an exact replica of what Mackenzie did in Dunedin, kicking across the field to Sever Reece to find that backfield space. The English kind of did an All Blacks on us, and they did it very well. But as is always the case in Test rugby, the backs can only do so much if they don't have a solid platform. And this is where we saw a kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde performance from the All Blacks. The good was the scrum, incredibly dominant. They continued their excellent work from Dunedin. You felt that Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax really had the wood on their opponents. Now, Finn Baxter is a newcomer from England. It probably didn't help having such a novice there. He did his best, but this was a formidable All Black scrum. Jason Ryan has turned these boys around big time, and thank God for that, because the quality of the scrum offset how weak the New Zealand lineout was in the first half. Let's take a look at the lineout statistics. New Zealand only won on their own throw 64% of the time. England had a much better 90% of the time. My father back home, he couldn't watch the game live, but he was checking the stats, and he messaged me in the first half, and he said, "What is going on with the All Blacks lineout?" And I didn't really have an answer for him. The best I could do was write back, Maro Itoje is what happened. Let's give this guy his flowers. Itoje is an absolute nuisance. And I say that with the greatest respect and affection. As a lineout operator, I believe he is #1 in the world at disrupting opposition ball. He can put the heebie-jeebies in the best of teams, not just the All Blacks, the French, the Springboks, Ireland. This guy is just a menacing, disruptive presence. He's got the gift. He's got the gift. And I salute him. He is a generational talent. And look, something wasn't right psychologically with the All Blacks lineout, particularly in that first half. When you saw Cody Taylor throwing the ball straight to the hands of a stationary Maro Itoje, who gratefully collected it, you just felt, what the f is going on here? So I don't know if there are systemic problems with the lineout. I don't know if Cody Taylor is having a mini form slump. It did happen to him in 2022. He's not really connecting with his lineout options. Something is amiss here. But at least we kind of have clarity about what the All Blacks need to focus on before we take on Argentina, South Africa, other teams with really strong set pieces. We need to underline in red, line out. And yet, in the second half, the All Blacks did pinch 2 throws from England. In fact, I made a note. Are the All Blacks better on the opposition throw? Because it kind of seemed that way at times. They were good at contesting the ball, just not so assured at winning their own ball. That is not going to fly in South Africa, let me tell you. We are going to need to be secure with our own lineout. So we do have some work to do before some pretty big set-piece tests coming later this year. So England was able to lead at halftime. And again, if I had to boil it down for you, I would say it was a superior lineout and some excellent tactical and attacking kicking from Marcus Smith. They played with ambition. They played wide. It bore some fruit. Good for them. Happy to see it. Well, not happy to see it. The issue for England was that as the game wore on and became a little bit more of an aerobic contest, errors started creeping into their game. Their finishing just wasn't clinical. Yes, they were able to split possession with the All Blacks. They had a good amount of ball to work with, but it seemed to keep breaking down, or the All Blacks would get a crucial turnover at an important moment. That really kept us in the game. Some critical turnovers. And as much as the Northern Hemisphere likes to criticize Super Rugby at times and say, well, it doesn't really prepare you for the intensive rigors of Test match rugby, in some ways, as this contest wore on and became an aerobic battle, I was thankful for all of the running meters that our Kiwi boys had racked up in Super Rugby, because they were fizzing in the last 20 minutes just as England was declining. It kind of reminded me of that last test of the year when the All Blacks go and play France or Ireland or England, and they just look like dead men walking in the last 20 minutes of the final game. Psychologically, England looked done. The heroic Maro Itoje, I made a note here, and with all due respect, because he was one of the outstanding figures in the game, but I made a note. Itoje looks gassed. The English boys ran out of puff, just as the All Blacks were gaining ascendancy. And once again, it was because of that man, Beauden Barrett, coming on with 29 minutes to go. He changed the game. He kicked one ball out on the full. Apart from that, perfect. I rarely use that word. That was a perfect cameo. That was everything you could want from a bench player. He came on, he changed the dynamic, he changed the pace, and he inspired confidence in those around him. Damien McKenzie became a bit more dangerous, and you saw the value there of that 10-15 axis, a little bit like Beauden Barrett at fullback, Richie Mo'unga at 10. We had a version of that, and the two playmakers created a little bit more doubt in the minds of the tiring English. I also want to give some flowers to Cortez Ratama. The halfback came on in an incredibly nightmarish scenario of England possibly getting this famous win, and he held his cool, he played his running game, he kicked accurately, he injected some nice energy there. But also the boys with the smaller numbers. Fletcher Newell came on, won a crucial scrum penalty. Thank God for that scrum ascendancy with our line-out wobbles. Fletcher Newell really showed he is the goods. In fact, the front row might be the shining light for the All Blacks this season. I tend to think if you look at the units through the team, front row, locks, loosies, halves, midfield, back three, the back three and the front row are kind of where the magic is for the All Blacks right now. Barrett came on, he kicked well, and when he ran, he looked like a Marvel superhero. It looked like he was running in fast forward and everyone else was in regular speed. Around the 1 hour mark, he broke the line, set up Talea for a try, and that was when the All Blacks turned the game around. From there, they grew through the last 20 minutes and they were able to seal the deal. And you can see here from this stat, missed tackles, England did start falling off tackles in the last 20 minutes, just as the All Blacks were looking fresh and fizzed. So to a certain extent, the All Blacks running rugby did win the day, but I think it worked nicely in conjunction with their kicking game. Their attack is unpredictable. Now that's the glass half full approach. The glass half empty approach that I'm seeing online is that the All Blacks have no discernible identity. Are they a kicking team? Are they a running team? Do they have to be one or the other? I think that Razor Robertson is going for total rugby. Now, the execution isn't there yet, but for goodness sakes, they've had 2 games together. We need to give them time to see this plan of Razor's come to fruition. What I think he's trying to do is create a Swiss Army knife team where they have the gadget for every occasion. If they need to play a kicking game, they can do it. If they need a counterattack, they can do it. Let's keep the faith. But this game went right down to the wire because England had the chance to at least draw the game. With full time just seconds away, the English got a penalty. They had an attacking line out about 5 meters from the All Blacks try line. And if you want to talk about what Eden Park means to this team, means to this country, just look at how the All Blacks defended their line at the end in that game. Eden Park's a special place. I used to go there as a kid. I'm an Auckland boy. My dad would take me to All Blacks games. I was there when we won our second World Cup in 2011. And if you want to see what it means to us, just look at the intensity in the faces, in the body language of the All Black players in that final act of the game when England was coming at us with that rolling maul. The technique was beautiful. The mental intensity was phenomenal. We diffused it legally, and for good measure, Beauden Barrett was able to get under the English player that splintered off and tried to score a try. That is All Black attitude. That was the highlight of the game. I was proud to see it, and I was damn relieved. It underlined the character that this team has, the mental fortitude, the composure when things are getting gnarly. There's no shortage of character in this team. We just need to keep evolving tactically. So what does that mean? Are there going to be changes? Yeah, I think there are going to be changes. Even though Stephen Perifetta has made a good fist of his 2 starts at fullback, I think you saw the value of Beauden Barrett again today. And let's not forget that Will Jordan is coming back. Either of those guys would be preferable to Perifetta. Sevu Reece didn't have his best day. Do we need to take a look at Caleb Clark? Is he a guy in that power winger mode who might actually be more effective against a team like South Africa where space is really going to be at a premium? I don't want to break up the Geordie Barrett, Rico Ioane midfield combination, but I do want to see Billy Proctor get a run against Fiji. Let's talk about the Lucies. Samipeni Finau. He hasn't translated his Super Rugby form to the Test arena. Do we need to look at Ethan Blackadder? Yes, he's injury prone, but does he just have a hard edge and a proven ability at this level to make more of an impact on defense and in the breakdown? The locks are the locks. We have limited supply. We got to go with the guys we had. I was very happy to see Tupou Vai make an impact coming off the bench. Big tick for him. Loved seeing that. Hooker is the question mark for me. Cody Taylor's the man, but he may be having just a little bit of a form slump. Do we need to look at starting a Safa Wamua? Maybe. Guys, it wasn't pretty, but the All Blacks won both tests against England. They did it. We can breathe a sigh of relief. And with all due respect to Fiji, I'm glad that we're playing a lower ranked team next week. I think the ABs just need to cement some of their tactics. And, you know, this was a hell of a series to start with against England. So a game against Fiji, which should be a bit more open, is probably going to be a good thing for adding some confidence to the team. And then you have the 2 home tests against Argentina. Now, they've beaten the All Blacks twice in recent years, so I do not mean to disrespect them, but I do believe England deserves to be above them in the rankings. I think we need some games to just build confidence and really finesse this multi-pronged strategy that the All Blacks are trying to play with under their new coaching team. But guys, I'm a proud Kiwi. You know, that performance was gutsy. It was gutsy as hell because England came very close to winning. So once again, congratulations to the men in white. I have predicted they're going to get an All Black scalp this year, so I guess that means I'm tipping them to win Game 3 in Twickenham. I'd love to be wrong, but I think we've seen it's certainly possible. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts on the game and if you feel any personnel changes are needed. Who do you think we need to bring in to shore up the line out and get our attack clicking better? Let me know. I'll see you for another video real soon. Take it easy, guys. Bye for now. Whoosh.